Death by crucifixion. For murderers and thieves, it was the ultimate punishment. For a Jewish man who claimed to be the Messiah, it was the ultimate sacrifice. The death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, a story told by Jewish prophets hundreds of years before it happened. On the day of his death, Jesus stood alone before his accusers. His disciples had fled, just as Zechariah had written 500 years earlier, "Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered." Throughout his trial, Jesus remained silent. Isaiah compared him to a lamb led to the slaughter. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. Jesus was sentenced to death and handed over to Roman soldiers. King David described the scene 1,000 years before it happened. "Dogs have surrounded me. A band of evil men has encircled me." Isaiah listed the specific ways Jesus would be tortured. "I offered my back to those who beat me, my cheeks to those who pulled out my beard. I did not hide my face from mocking and spitting." Crucifixion didn't even exist when David wrote the Psalms, and yet his details are amazingly accurate. First, the soldiers nailed Jesus to a cross, piercing his hands and feet. David paints a vivid picture of Jesus' agony. "All my bones are out of joint. My heart has melted within me. My strength is dried up, and my tongue clings to my jaws." In another psalm, David even predicts the soldiers' response. "They gave me gall for my food, and for my thirst they gave me vinegar." Psalm 22 says the Messiah would be ridiculed. David's exact words were shouted at Jesus by Roman soldiers, Jewish priests, and even the thief who was crucified with him. He trusted in the Lord. Let him rescue him. The soldiers fulfilled a specific double prophecy from the Psalms. First, they divided Jesus' garments into 4 parts. Then they cast lots for his tunic, a seamless garment they couldn't divide. The Romans crucified 2 thieves with Jesus, fulfilling Isaiah's prophecy that he would be numbered with the transgressors. Through it all, Jesus prayed for his executioners, "Father, forgive them." Here again, he fulfilled the words of David, "They have fought against me without a cause, but I give myself to prayer." At noon that day, the sun grew dark, just as Amos had predicted 700 years earlier. The darkness was so widespread that historians as far away as Greece and Rome wrote about it. 3 hours later, Jesus cried out, echoing the words of King David, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Soon after that, he spoke his last words, another phrase from the Psalms, "Into your hand I commit my spirit." Roman soldiers often broke their victims' legs to make them die more quickly. But when they got to Jesus, he was already dead. Fulfilling the words of the psalmist, "He guards all his bones. Not one of them is broken." At the end of the day, a wealthy man went to Pontius Pilate and requested the body of Jesus. Joseph of Arimathea was a secret follower of Jesus and a member of the same council that had convicted him. Joseph buried Jesus in his own tomb, fulfilling Isaiah's prophecy. They made his grave with the rich at death, because he had done no violence. 3 days later, Jesus rose from the dead, just as the prophets had written. In the Psalms, David said, "You will not abandon me to the grave, nor will you let your Holy One see decay." Hosea predicted that after 2 days, he will revive us. On the third day, he will raise us up, that we may live in his sight. Prophecies about the Messiah are woven throughout the Old Testament, and only one man in history fulfilled them all.